half a day, and welcome to Coffee with the Candidates. This series was created to educate and inform Guam's voting population on the positions candidates running for office take on some of the island's most controversial topics. This episode will feature Republican senatorial candidate James Moylan and Democratic senatorial candidate Tenorio Milligan. Stay right there as Coffee with the Candidates continues after this break.
Half a day, I'm Jolene Tovis, and welcome to Coffee with the Candidates. Sitting to my right is James Moylan, who is running for a seat on the 35th legislature under the Republican Party. Welcome, James Moylan. Let's get to know you first a little bit before we get into the nitty-gritty of your platform. What two shows are on your Hulu or Netflix account, and why?
Sure, great question. I do like TV, but also want to say half a day Guam, and I am excited for this opportunity to speak before you and the chance for you to hear what I have to say and understand who I am. And this is a great opportunity for me, and I hope the public enjoys this. So your question is, what's my Netflix TV show that I like?
Yes,
oh,
give
my
us
goodness.
a little insight.
Just a little insight?
Yes.
Oh. Have you heard of House of Cards?
Yes, I have.
Isn't that exciting?
Yes, it is.
I watched that over and over and over again. Oh my gosh, it's really interesting. Of course, it's just, it's theatrical, right? Mm-hmm. It's just the movies. But that's pretty much just the one and only show I really watch because I'm too busy eating popcorn and drinking my little bit sip of a beer once in a while, right?
Yes,
Watching that movie, so it's House of Cards.
That's a great way to relax, right?
Absolutely.
And let your mind just continue to grow with imagination.
Sure.
All right, so I want to talk about your platform in your party, and I wanted to first address, if you are elected, what is the first legislative initiative you would like to get the ball rolling on?
Okay, great. Now, if elected is nice, and I hear that often from folks. But I also say, if elected, that's nice, but I can be elected with your vote. So you know I'm going to ask for your vote too.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So if I'm confirmed, once confirmed in the legislature, there's a handful of bills we want to introduce. Not just one, but a handful of bills. First, we're talking about the homeless. Okay, the Republican Party and myself, we're really interested to help the homeless. So we have an initiative for that. Republican means also for the business community. We want to create a one-stop place for our business community, small business especially, for business licenses. Streamline that process. Then we want to do incentives. It's hard to start up your own business, but as a startup business, if we incentivize through government legislation, then we can promote that. That's what I do also. Then, in addition to that, we have some government reorganization steps. It's going to be small steps, but we're going to look at that one at a time and take those initiatives to make that change, to reorganize our government, to be more efficient, okay? And then researching, there's still research that we need to do. Stringent penalties on crimes. I have some background in Department of Corrections. I was a parole officer for 7 years. And also, how are we going to give additional fundings to our government services? We have a way that we want to do that. And then let's review our regulations. We have so many on the books, but will it really works? And if it doesn't work, okay, that was fine for that period, but it's no longer fine. So let's review that. Additionally, sales tax.
Yes.
Sales tax and field tax. If that's still on the books, I want to eliminate that. I'm going to make legislation to eliminate that. And I think I can talk to my colleagues about that so they can see my ideas as well. Okay. And more importantly, as a senator in the 35th Guam legislature, I come in with an advisory council. I'm not the expert, but I have experts around me. Experts in tax and in finance. There's so many people that want to help us, and I'll just be their vehicle to express those needs. So let's focus on improving what we have. Let's fix what we have. I'm not the expert, but I have friends that can be the experts with me.
Okay, well, you pointed out several really good legislative initiatives that you want to work on. I just wanted to delve a little bit further into the homeless legislation that you're talking about. Can you just give us a brief summary of what that would entail?
Sure. Okay, we want to help the people of Guam, and the homeless population has grown and will continue to grow. There's a lot of organizations out there that want to help people, right? One of them is right next door to our office in Hulali, feeding the people every night, which I volunteered to help serve at. They need more help. And there's other organizations too for children, teaching them jobs also and taking care of the children while their parents go to work. There's many organizations out there with great hearts, but what they need is the funding. How are we going to do that? That's through the small business, promoting the small business. They're the fuel for our government to provide these vital services. So it goes back to the economy, right? You want a healthy community, less homeless folks, then you need a healthy economy. How are you going to do that? Is with small business, promoting them.
All right. Now, you also mentioned that you have background as a DOC parole officer.
Yes.
And so, of course, one of my questions would be in regards to the recidivism rate on our island.
Sure.
So, you know, every day we see more and more arrests of alleged reoffenders.
Yes.
And so, in office as a senator, what would you do or what programs would you institute or implement at DOC to decrease recidivism rates amongst our inmates as well as our detainees? Because it's our detainees that are constantly allegedly reoffending.
Yes, recidivism.
Yes.
Sad word.
Yes.
Sad word, unfortunately. And yes, I was a Department of Corrections parole officer for 7 years. I served under directorship of Bob Klitsky, who was also my commander while I was in the Army National Guard as a lieutenant, young lieutenant. Then he became my director at Department of Corrections when I went there. Bob Camacho was also chief of parole officer back then too. He's now chief of police at the Airport Authority. The current chief is Mike Kanata. We served in the Army together as well. There's John Lazama. He works as chief of the administration at Judiciary of Guam. All these are my great buddies, and we all served together for the community at Department of Corrections. And we saw together the struggles that our people have that are incarcerated. I even have relatives incarcerated. I'm Camacho, right? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, there's relatives. We all know somebody in that position. The programs that we have now are wonderful. What our struggle is, so you got those programs, who's going to give them the incentive when they get out? That's job creations, right? That's allowing them to start up their small business. That's incentivizing them to get things going. With that, and with the community doing that as well, we can put more of that cash that goes back into our cash fund, the general fund, and focus on really mastering those businesses or those incentives for them to eliminate recidivism. Bert Johnson has a great program up there. I know him personally as well. I think that's wonderful, but I bet he can do a lot more with that. So that's what we need. We need to provide that funding for programs that work, and that's our economy. We can help with a healthy economy. We have a healthy community. That's what we want to do.
All right. Well, of course, taking the first step and running for an elected position in our 35th legislature will help us get there. But what senator or has previously inspired you to actually say, okay, I'm going to run for office?
Sure. Man, glad you asked that question. His name is Kurt Moylan. Kurt Moylan is my first cousin. And I used to work for him at Home Depot. Maybe you remember Home Depot, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
Home Depot? Yes, I remember.
I'm sorry, True Value Store.
True Value Store.
True
Okay.
Value Store.
Okay.
No, you don't remember True Value.
No. I only remember Mark's and Ace.
Okay, all right. Good stores. Good stores. In fact, one of my signs are on their property, so that's really nice of them. So when I worked at True Value Hardware Store in the old townhouse complex, Kurt Moylan said, Jim, you need to go and register to vote. And since that time, I've been a registered voter and voting. And it's really important to me. So Kurt Moylan inspired me. He started as a small businessman, of course. 46 years ago, he started with just 2 employees. And now he's semi-retired. And that other employee, Sil Annis, just recently has retired. And we celebrated, I'm not going to say how many birthdays it was, but she only allowed us to have 2 candles on her cake. But from that time, 46 years later, it went from 2 employees to several hundred employees. It went from Guam to the Mariana Islands. It went from the Mariana Islands to the Commonwealth of the Marianas, also to the Micronesian Islands, and further. So just by small business, incentivizing small business, creating that opportunity Moylan's at 46 years was able to hire several hundred people that helped the economy, that hopefully reduce recidivism, that help hopefully build the economy up to pay for our vital services that we need for Guam. That's why we really focus on building the small business, incentivizing them to do that.
All right. And just real quickly,
Sure.
what is one piece of legislation or a decision that the senators have made in the last 4 years that you don't agree with? Just really quick summarization of that.
I say no to the 2% sales tax on top of the 5% business tax. That's gotta go, okay? It adversely impacts the cost of our goods. Once you do that, that hurts small business. That hurts our people. We're not gonna grow our economy with small business if we're taxing it. We need to incentivize businesses to attract the customers, to move our money and circulate our cash so we can get those taxes done the proper way, not by overinflating it. So I say no to that.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, so right now we're going to go to break, but you're watching Coffee with the Candidates. I'm Jolene Tobis with PNC News First. We'll be back right after this.
Thanks, Jolene.
Thank you. Hafide, and welcome back to Coffee with the Candidates. I'm Jolene Tovis, and sitting to my right is Maria Tenorio Milligan, also known as Meilou. Welcome, Ms. Meilou. Would you like to share anything with the public right now?
First of all, I want to greet everybody a very good morning, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present myself in public, because I'm running for senator. By the way, my name is Maria Lourdes, I know it's long, Maria Lourdes Tenorio Milligan, and I'm popularly known as Meilou Milligan.
Yes, and you're running with the Democratic Party.
Yes, under the Democrats.
Yes.
Democratic Party.
Okay, so we want to get to know you first, just a little bit. An insight maybe into your life. What do you do in your free time, if and when you get any?
I'm a retired educator, so you will say that I have so much free time, but that's not the case, because even though I'm retired, I'm still engaged in civic organizations. So I do fundraisers with them, you know. Actually, I'm now incoming president, again, a recycled president of Lions Club. You know, the Lions International. We have how many clubs here on island. So we're very busy. So what is where do I spend my free time? Actually, it's luxury for me to be able to walk along the beach and watch the sunset. Because sunsets here are the most amazing that I've seen globally, you know. I've been to other places, but our sunsets here are really amazing, breathtaking.
All right, thank you for sharing that with us. I want to start off by asking you why you're running for office.
Okay, when I retired 2 years ago, I wasn't thinking of running for public office. I was thinking I would just, you know, spend more time with family and see other parts of the world. You know, sometimes you want to go travel, but once you're tied up with school or work schedule, you can't do that. So when I retired 2 years ago, I was thinking, oh, I would do this, more time for myself. I'm getting older, you know.
Yeah.
But then last year, since they wanted me to lead civic organizations, to get involved again, I was thinking, I think I could do more or serve Guam better. If I want to stay here, I want to serve the public. I've been doing volunteer work. I know public office is not volunteer work. You're elected to an office and you have to answer, or you have responsibilities to your constituents. So those who know me wouldn't be surprised if I made this decision, because they know very well, even my family, they know very well that my heart is to the people of Guam, to a community. I always give back to the community.
That's wonderful. If you become a senator, if you were to chair a committee, which would it be and why?
As an educator, so all my life, I've been an educator, and so if I would chair a committee, that would be education. We have over 30,000 students. We are serving over 30,000 students on this island. So what do you think? Who deserves the best service? We should serve this population, our students. And we have to do something to improve the education we offer them. Mm-hmm. So that is, so there are so many things on how to improve education, and I would like to offer some talent and resources so that we can work on this.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit more about education and what do you think, what focus or area do we need to look at that will actually improve education amongst our youth, specifically?
Specifically, we have to first, since the teachers are the workers in the trenches of education, we have to improve their salary, or we have to work or revisit the pay structure of teachers, because these are the people who would really work for the kids, for the students. And when it comes to pay structure, I think we can do a lot. They can be motivated to work harder and with compassion for our students. Another thing or another issue would be we should streamline how the system itself. If one or two, the fewer administrators or the fewer leaders in a system, we can cut down on our expenses, and we can put that on the salaries of those who are really doing the work. So I think duplication of responsibilities, we should get rid of that. Mm-hmm. Okay, number 3 is I'm thinking of looking at our curricular offerings. Our education must be tailored, customized to the kind of culture and to the kind of geography we have. So I'm not saying that the national education offering is not good for us. I'm just saying that we can customize them and we can adapt our offerings to the kind of life we have here. What are our needs? For example, job opportunities for our children, for high school graduates. What are these? We should offer some job opportunities for them, employment. And so we can keep them in our island, not go somewhere else. So that's a brain drain, okay? We try to educate them here, but they're going somewhere else after graduation. I think you have relatives or children who are like that. We have to entice them to stay here on island.
All right. You mentioned earlier about the teachers' salaries.
Yes.
I know that teachers oftentimes spend their personal money on buying resources for the classroom. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the funding levels that the Department of Education is receiving, and whether or not it's actually enough to purchase resources necessary to teach our children?
Okay. For your information, I've been teaching here for almost 2 decades, okay? So I was with Simon Sanchez High School, then JFK or John F. Kennedy High School. I also taught for 2 years at Guam Community College and a brief stint at University of Guam as adjunct professor. So I've taught all levels, mm-hmm. and I know what kind of materials or educational materials we need, how the system works. And so going back to your question,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we can improve all this if we going to the pay structure. The government must have some kind of an infrastructure that can be done by the legislature to protect education. And one of these issues will be the pay structure of teachers. So there must be some kind of protection for that. So they can take away that portion allotted to education by the government. So if there is any shortfall, then we can just, let's exempt the education from there. It should be there permanently to be able to help and improve our education.
Earlier, I asked another guest, what senator inspired you to run for office? And I'd like to ask you the same.
Okay, senators. Well, in fairness to the senators that you always see on the paper doing this, trying to push some bills, they are all good. But one senator who kind of motivated me would be Senator B.J. Cruz. Yeah. Not because my daughter used to work for him, do I mention this, but I could see, his passion and his attitude towards working with his peers and in the legislature. He has this attitude of going blunt on what has to be done, okay? Not politicking or doing some side negotiations or transactions. So if one task has to be done, then it has to be done.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us on this episode of Coffee with the Candidates. I invite you to join us again next time for more interviews with the candidates asking you for your vote this election year. I'm Jolene Tovis, and we will see you again.